Jazzcast Pros.
I heard the idea of the relaxed woman for the first time sometime last year, and the concept hit really deeply and has been on my conscious ever since. I want to read this Instagram post about the relaxed woman, and it made me cry when I read it. It literally stopped me in my tracks, and tears just streamed down my face. Growing up, I never knew a relaxed woman. Successful woman? Yes. Productive woman? Plenty. Anxious and afraid and apologetic women? Heaps of them. But relaxed? At ease women? Women who aren't afraid to take up space in the world? Women who prioritize rest and pleasure and play? Women who give themselves unconditional permission to relax without guilt, without apology, without feeling like they need to earn it? I'm not sure I've ever met a woman like that, but I would like to become one. I would like us all to become one. This post hit me so deeply, and without realizing it, it's something that I crave so deeply in my life and my business. So if this resonates with you, definitely keep on listening. If you're a woman contemplating your next move, you found the perfect podcast to empower your self-growth journey. Welcome to High Vibe Table Talks, the podcast to help you, the cautiously ambitious woman, remove mental barriers and take action now so that you can achieve your high vibe desires. I'm Rashawn, your High Vibe curator, cheerleader, and accountability partner. With High Vibe Table Talks, we tackle the mental barriers and blocks that are preventing you from taking the next steps towards your high vibe. Subscribe to High Vibe Table Talks podcast on the Jazzcast Pros network. It's high time you activated your high vibes. This episode, we are going to be talking about becoming the relaxed woman. I like to layer it in the context of entrepreneurship, but I think there's a lot of these lessons that I learn in entrepreneurship. I talk all the time about what a confronting experience it is, and they trickle into how I am as a whole person, as a mother, as a wife, as a friend, a sister, a daughter, a reader, a homemaker, a creative, all of the physical relationships that we have and the abstract relationships that we've talked about throughout the season. This concept is interwoven with all of those things. So in this episode, we're going to talk about what the relaxed woman looks like, how we can apply it to our lives, and some other resources that you can take away about being the relaxed woman. I first heard it from someone who saw Elizabeth Gilbert give a talk, and if you listen to many of my other episodes, you know what an impact her book had on me. Big magic. I will put a link to her Instagram in the show notes. I remember a time when I was working in sales for the software company and someone said to me, I want to have my shit together like you do. At that moment, I felt so honored, like they felt like I had my shit together because I do not feel like that. There was this outside and external validation that someone else thinks that I have my shit together and I know what I'm talking about. I think that as a society, we struggle with that immensely. With the addition of social media, Pinterest, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, you know all the platforms, we now have the ability to see the highlight reel of other people's lives. And it immediately puts us into, why can't my living room look like that? Why don't I get up at 5 a.m. to work out before my kids get up? I want a pantry that looks like that, that's labeled, organized, and I want to meal prep, and I want to have all these nutritious things. And women who are homemakers in general, I think women in general have an increased mental load. And then there's women who are homemakers and are working, and it's a tremendous mental load. And now we layer on top of that the weight of what others are doing and compare what we're doing to them. This is what I want to say to that. Fuck that shit. I'm sorry for my coarse language, but this is what I would say to my friends or in the high vibe community. So that's what I wanted to say here. This is an extension of those conversations. And so that is my honest reaction to that. If you go back to the Instagram post, the relaxed woman looks within. She is intuitive to her own needs and the pace at which she wants to live, not what others are challenging or expecting her to do. The other day I was watching the movie Don't Worry, Darling with Harry Styles and Olivia Wilde, and the basis of it is a community of scientists that live in the middle of nowhere. They're on this big project, and it really focuses on their wives, which are Stepford wives, typical 50s housewives, who are the homemakers. They cook and they clean and they take care of the children. As I was watching it, I was in my living room in the middle of the day I was working, but I could see all around me the spaces that needed to be cleaned and vacuumed and tidied up. And even in watching this sci-fi movie, which is supposed to be for entertainment, I was feeling shame around not doing enough as a homemaker as I'm in the process of growing my business. I follow this one woman on TikTok, and if you struggle with a lot of these ideologies, she may be a good follow for you. Her name is Casey Davis, KC, just the letters, Davis. She also wrote a book called How to Keep House While Drowning. In a lot of her videos, she talks about what keeping house should look like as society at large, like pick up as you go along, clean while you cook, and all of these things to like tidy your house so that it's not a big ordeal or it doesn't get out of control. That for many of us can be a big burden to follow that way of doing things. And it may be unattainable for you and how your brain works and what your mental capacity is. She talks about how your house is there for yourself and your family to function. It's not there to be aesthetically pleasing at all times. Laundry is a cycle, and there's always clothes that are in parts of the cycle. The point of laundry isn't for it to always be in the done part of the cycle. The point is to create systems for yourself that allow you to move the clothes through the cycle in a way that works best for you and your lifestyle. This viewpoint allowed me to look at my days and figuring out how I can create spaces where I function best. For instance, I make breakfast every morning for myself and my daughter, and I typically make eggs. This creates a few dishes. What I was doing was running the dishwasher at night. So it was working while I was sleeping, which is what you hear. Like have things function while, kind of set it and forget it. But once I did breakfast, I now had a full dishwasher, and in the morning routine, I just wasn't in the space to empty the dishwasher, load it with the breakfast stuff, get her off to school, drink, get ready, just do all these things. That just wasn't working for me. So then I was just putting the dishes into the sink. So every time I walked into my kitchen the rest of the day, there were these dishes, and it's stressing me out, and I should empty the dishwasher, and I should do this. And the cycle was just all off, and it was stressing me out. I switched it. Now I run the dishwasher during the afternoons. I now empty it when I'm either before dinner, after Rowan gets off the bus and we're talking, or as I'm cooking dinner, or after dinner when all those dishes are there, and I can now put the dinner stuff in it, and I have a dirty dishwasher ready for those dishes when I make breakfast in the morning. This cycle works for me, my lifestyle, and the kitchen and dishwasher are there to support me the way that it should be. Okay, Mershawn, this is a podcast for entrepreneurs talking about business. Why are you talking about your dishwasher? Your business is there to support you, not the other way around. I have said this in other episodes. I've said it in different ways. And hearing this idea of the relaxed woman, I think, is a great way to layer on top of that idea. And I think it's so important. It's layering the idea of being over doing. You are enough as a whole being, not just what you are doing or how you're doing it or in the pace that you're doing it. Layering it with the idea that working harder and faster isn't the way to get to the life that you want to live faster.
Hi, I'm Kelly.
And I'm Kelly.
The host of Getting Real with Bossy, the real, raw, and honest podcast about small business ownership.
We created Bossy to be a safe place to ask the hard questions and to get support that's necessary.
With our experience, 9 businesses and over 25 years, we continue to bear it all and share what we wish we had known.
We move past the must be nices and start getting real. Come along as we interview small business owners and get the true story.
And leave with another tool for the next time you feel alone on this journey.
Business ownership leads to unexpected knowledge. What are you an expert at?
Tell us at Getting Real with Bossy and subscribe today.
Are you ready to put your dreams on the front burner? Come take a seat at the High Vibe Masterminds. A Harvard study shows that you are 95% more likely to achieve your goals when surrounded by others going after their goals. In 1 hour a week, you'll see real transformation through support, accountability, and inspiration. Learn more at highvibecowork.com, and remember, big dreams and small steps can transform your life. This notion that we have, I will be happy when. I will be satisfied when. I will be enough when. Layering it with the idea that you are enough. You are enough now and always. And in all ways, you are enough. In this example, how can you set up your quote unquote dishwasher for your business to best support your cycles and how you function best? There is a woman I'm in a networking group with who has an automated email response on all the time. It's not a vacation thing, it's on all the time. It's fun and lighthearted, and the idea around it is I got your email, I'll get back to you, I answer emails in this time frame. If you want to know more about, if you're looking for these sorts of resources, here are some resources. And I think this is such a great example of how our inbox is there as a tool for us. And how can we leverage it to support us in the way that we work the best, not the other way around, which I think many of us do, is feeling at the mercy of our inbox. How quickly can I respond to all these? How quickly, this has been sitting in here for so long. Oh, I checked that, but I didn't get back to it. I mean, how many times have you seen an email on your phone? Oh, I got to get back to that. And then it creates this cloud over everything else that you're doing, because your brain isn't meant to hold on to task lists. Your brain is there to create. So when we have to hold on to this, I need to get this done, it just puts a bit of a cloud over everything else that we're doing. And in reality, there's never a time that you get everything checked off, especially when it comes to things like inboxes or even your to-do list. As an entrepreneur, we're creative and our brain is coming up with all these things that we want to do and are excited about doing. And sometimes there isn't space because it's holding on so deeply to all the things that we need to do. I've also been thinking a lot recently about ripple effects, the work that we do for and on ourselves, and the ripple effects that has on other people, intentional or not. I think there's such a expansive idea of when I show up as my whole self, it allows others to show up as their whole selves as well. And there's such an existential ripple effect that has. An example of that is going back to the Instagram post talking about how we never saw the relaxed woman modeled. Many of us didn't know that could exist because we never saw that in others. I want to be more of the relaxed woman first and foremost for myself, because that is what we're here to do. And I want to be an example to others, including my daughter, that can be. I want you, the listener, to take away something from each episode and feel like you have a little bit different of a filter to go about your day. And what I want that to be in this episode is that there is space for the relaxed woman. What is one way in which you can be the relaxed woman, even for 5 minutes? Then it's 10 minutes. Then it's in one area, whether it's your dishwasher, your inbox, your morning routine, your evening, any of those. Showing up as a relaxed woman. One of the ways that I actually have been doing it as well is for a long time, was reading is productive and reading is growth. And so I was always reading self-growth books and thought-provoking books. And I think there's such an important and impactful place for those. In the summer, I read for pleasure a lot. I found genres that I could get through very quickly that took me to a different time and place. I loved reading Krista Hanna and her historical fiction. I sobbed over Firefly Lane. I read Colleen Hoover, and I just finished The Housemaid. And that's how I'm showing up to myself as a relaxed woman. I get to read for pleasure for no other reason than I want to. So how can you add play? How can you add relaxation? Unearned rest, creating with no end in mind, releasing some urgency, releasing some shoulds from your day. I think the relaxed woman shows a lot of grace for herself. I think there's something that couples the relaxed woman and grace very deeply. So how can you show yourself some grace today? To wrap all this up, I want to go back and remind you some of the resources I mentioned, because maybe the takeaway is this strikes a chord, but I don't know how to show up as that for right now. So I need to have some of these things modeled by others on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, books. And so I'm going to share some of these resources again for you so that you can see them modeled and then figure out how to bring them into fruition in your own life. So on Instagram, the first post I talked about is from Nicola Jane Hobbs. Again, I'll put everything in the show notes. I would definitely follow Casey Davis. Again, it's just the letters K.C. Davis. And she has her book, which is called How to Keep House While Drowning. I would definitely pick up Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. Another one that came to mind as I was recording this was Untamed by Glennon Doyle. And if you don't follow me on Instagram, you can do that as well. High Vibe Co-work is my handle on Instagram. These will, again, all be in the show notes. If you are listening on Spotify, I would love it if you could scroll down and leave a comment on this episode. Was there anything that necessarily struck a chord? Do you show up as a relaxed woman in any or all ways in your life? DM me on Instagram your thoughts. I think this is such an impactful and important conversation that I would love to hear your thoughts on it. I'm also on LinkedIn, so send me something on any of those platforms. And thank you for listening to High Vibe Table Talks. And remember, big dreams and small steps can transform your life. If you did enjoy this episode, make sure you subscribe to High Vibe Table Talks, and we will see you all next week because it's high time you go after your high vibe.